Building cross-platform desktop apps used to mean reaching for Electron, but these days we're spoilt for choice. So to clear up any confusion, today we're comparing the 3 best options for building cross-platform desktop apps. We'll look at Tauri, written in Rust, Electrobun from the Bun team, Deno Desktop, the new offering from Deno. We'll also use Electron as a baseline. And if you would like to see a different tool covered on this channel, then just let me know in the comments. We'll be comparing 4 things: bundle size, startup performance, runtime performance, and developer experience. I've built the same app 4 times, a screen recording tool that lets you edit the results on a timeline and output to MP4. I've specifically chosen this kind of app because video processing can push these kind of tools to their limits. Now, of course, not everything comes down to performance. Your team's skill set and the kind of product you're building will all influence the type of framework you choose. But hopefully this can give you some guidance on what to expect. So let's just quickly jump into a demo of the application we've built. We start off by launching our app. We can choose which screen to record, then hit the record button. Now we can do a short record of the screen. Once we're done, we can press stop. Then a window will appear with our recording on the timeline. We can then clip this up to remove dead space, then hit export to output as an MP4. The app is actually incredibly simple, but because we're using multiple APIs, recording and processing video and rendering UI, this should actually be a decent test. So the first thing that we're going to check is the bundle size. And remember, these apps all provide identical functionality. Electron as the baseline is 323 megabytes. Tauri comes in at just 57 megabytes. Electrobun is 418 megabytes. And Deno was 111 megabytes. All of them also have FFmpeg embedded for exports to MP4, and that brings 45 megabytes alone. And Electrobun is so large because I had to ship Chromium with it. I tried really hard, but I literally could not get the screen record to work with the native system web view. Specifically to record from JavaScript, you need the screen capture API and the get display media function. You ask the browser for the screen, it hands you a stream, the media recorder encodes it, and that's how Electron and Deno does it. Electrobun doesn't include that API at all, so the only way to get access to it is to reintroduce Chromium, and that brings in an extra 200 megabytes of bloat. Deno's API did implement this, so it's all of the same code, but with no Chromium. And that's why Deno's bundle size ends up being around 100 megabytes and Electrobun's ends up being closer to 400. And Rust didn't need any of this because Tauri doesn't record from the web view at all. It does it all through the backend through the native screen capture kit. This is the same Mac OS framework that QuickTime uses, and it's all recorded directly from the backend. You hand it a display, a codec, and a file path, and it writes the file itself. The web view is only the UI. It never touches a single frame. And you also get things for free that the JavaScript build has to handroll. Screen capture kit mixes your mic and your system audio itself, and it finalizes a proper MP4. I did also leave FFmpeg inside the Tauri app so we could export to different formats, but technically that is actually optional. Okay, now we can launch these apps to detect the startup time, and I've written a script that does this 10 times so then I can take the median. Electron as a baseline was 273 milliseconds. Tauri actually came in at 311 milliseconds. Electrobun was 773 milliseconds, and Deno was 242 milliseconds. And the surprise here for me was that Tauri wasn't the fastest. It's just a hair behind Electron, and then Deno actually beat everyone. The assumption would be that Rust plus the system web view would mean instant starts, but since the rendering engine still has to boot either way, that's probably what contributes to the slightly slower startup speed. Electrobun is the outlier, nearly 3 times Electron. It's booting a launcher, which boots Bun, which boots Chromium, 3 runtimes in a chain, and you can really feel it. Now let's look at memory after launch once the app is actually up and running. Electron is the baseline again, and it was 128 megabytes. Tauri came in at 109 megabytes, Electrobun at 208 megabytes, and Deno at 98 megabytes. So Deno and Tauri were basically even, and then Electrobun was basically double everything else. For Tauri, that's nowhere near the 10x improvement that the marketing implies. On disk, yes, it is much smaller, but the actual memory footprint when the application is running is much more similar to the other tools. And one thing to keep an eye on when you're actually doing these checks yourself. Tauri uses the system web view, and those processes aren't children of your app. macOS starts them separately. So Activity Monitor shows Tauri at about 36 megabytes, and it looks like it beats Electron 3 times over, but it doesn't. So when you add all of those processes up, the 36 megabytes becomes closer to 109 megabytes, which is what we recorded in the test. In terms of the screen record itself, I did notice much better performance from the Tauri app, and this is probably because we're not recording recording the data in the web view and then transferring it over a bridge. Instead, it's all recorded with the native SDK that comes with the system. If you want to get closer to like 60 FPS records, then Rust and Tauri is going to be the way to go. Now let's look at developer experience, and due to each platform's differences, this simple app was actually not straightforward to build at all. Overall, Electron and Tauri were the easiest to implement, but Deno and Electrobun actually had a load of issues and system crashes. In Deno, when we started a record and then hide the app, the entire application would just close. I think this is because when no screens remain visible, Deno just assumes that the application is done, and so it just terminated the entire process. So the hacky workaround for this was just to hide the view off screen instead. Electrobun had all of these issues around needing to bundle Chromium for the screen record, and for some reason the package actually depends on Three.js and Babylon.js, which are for 3D rendering, which contributed to the bloated bundle size. So all in all, personally I would choose Tauri, but if you really don't want to program in Rust, then Electron is still the mature platform for TypeScript developers. Deno looks okay, but I think the platform still needs some time to mature, and then Electrobun for me was the worst of all of them. So hopefully you can make a judgment for yourself. Let me know what you think in the comments. And we've also done a video entirely on Deno Desktop, so if you want to learn more about that, then you can click this video here. Otherwise, I've been Warren from BetterStack. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.